Great.
So, Stephen, tell me, what was your inspiration for this parade?
Music. Sound. We actually did 7 different concepts for the new Disneyland parade, and we kept looking at different ones. Did we want to do a single story parade? We looked at a entirely Mickey-based parade. We also looked at a Princess and the Frog parade that was complete from beginning to end. And then we started to get into this music thing. Another director that I work with was working with Drumline, and they were doing the national tour of Drumline. And I'm like, wow, I'd forgotten how exciting it was to have live musicians. And so we started in on this whole live musician thing, which finally led to, let's do a whole parade about music. Because so much of everything that we do for the parades is all music. It's really, really music-based. And voila, Soundsational was born.
So guys, when Stephen came to you, what did he tell you when he first came to you? How did he approach you?
Actually, I think all that you told us was that you had already picked a name. It was going to be Soundsational, and that it was based on Disney music, and that Mickey was going to play the drums, right? I think that was it. That was it.
Well, and these two are geniuses. I mean, we've worked together for a long time. At least 2 years. But what's great is just Kevin and Jody bring a really great spirit to parades. I mean, we all grew up at Disney, we know parades really well, and it just has this beautiful quality about it. And what's great is you just kind of come to them with crazy ideas, and then they just start sketching. And half the time, you get this, like in my inbox, it's great when you get a Kevin and Jody email, like, hey, look at this. And you get these cute, wonderful things to look at that are really fun. I mean, it makes you smile. That's what I love about it. The parades that they design really make you smile.
Oh, thanks.
What did you base the floats on, though? Was there a certain concept for the look or the design of them?
I think, we were trying to do something different, and we had talked about doing floats that were a little more lyrical, a lot more negative space, open, more delicate, not so heavy fiberglass. So we were trying to do something that looked like it was made out of paper. And I do a lot of paper sculpture in my own art, and so thank you. And so we suggested that to Stephen, and Stephen said, yeah, let's see if we can make a lot of the parade look like it was made out of paper.
So we get stuff like this, which is fun. So this is from the Mary Poppins unit, and it truly is all made out of paper. It's really a fun concept, and we really started to push this. The trick was, like even on these, is how do you make this 10 feet tall and keep it structural? And it took a long time. Tom Common Productions did all the kind of paper art for the parade, and it took a long time. Every week it's like, how's the paper coming tonight?
Well, they made everything out of things, obviously not paper. You can't make a real parade out of paper because the first time it rains, that would be the end of your parade. So they were very clever. They made a lot of things out of metal, fiberglass, different, I think a plastic material called Centra, am I correct? And other things like that. So they were able to capture that look.
Really great job capturing the look. Sure. I mean, that looks exactly like the puppet looks out on the float.
Yeah, the first time that they got him up on that bicycle and, turned him on and he started pedaling, it was so exciting. It was
a little scary.
Yeah, it was a little scary. It's like, wow, it was really cool. It's very fun. Actually, the Mary Poppins float is my favorite. Is it your favorite?
Of course, it's my favorite.
Sure it is. Is it your favorite? No. I don't know. I never knew which one was your favorite.
I'm happy with every single thing in the parade.
I love Princess and the Frog.
Yes, I do too. That's my favorite.
The interesting thing about this is that in a lot of the units we wanted to have sound be of course we're called Soundsational, but there's sound. You notice on the wheel of the bicycle of this, there are balls that go up and down that we had hoped would make sound, but then the soundtrack came in so cool that we just went ahead and let them go around and around. But things like having our dancers with cymbals and the drum line and all of those wonderful sounds, I think that was very cool, Stephen.
No, it was fun. And there was a lot of stuff we cut too. You know, we had jingle bells on everybody, and after a while, it was like, turn it off, turn it off. There's too much sound. Yeah, because you try it. There was even on the stomp rooms, there were big percussion things, and we ended up just taking them off because the dancers were so spectacular. It's like you didn't need it. But we really worked to get Poppins back in the park because it's such a beloved piece. And sometimes some people upstairs forget about that, and we're like, we're going to do Mary Poppins, and it's going to be the finale, and it's been a huge hit. And even Three Caballeros, bringing Three Caballeros to the park. Those costumes are all made from scratch. Those are brand new costumes. They're now going worldwide, which is great. So we're really bringing back those characters. We're working on a new parade for Tokyo that actually are bringing back even more characters, like the ugly duckling, things that people haven't seen. No, what? It's a cute character. So it's really fun. So we're trying to revive a lot of the classics, because my big thing is, they go, well, kids don't know what it is. I said, well, they're going to learn, aren't they? When you put it out on the street, kids are going to go, what's that? And they'll go find out what that is. It's a Google away, I said.
But I think it's the music itself, too, that sets them apart. That we were able to get that South American flavor of Three Caballeros, the Bahia, and...
That's my favorite. That's my favorite one.
Mary Poppins was your favorite.
No, I do love, my favorite little bit of music, I think, is when Bahia comes on. It's very short, but that little Bahia, that's so great. I love that.
I think it's good. I was waiting to see it.
I'm going to do the whole thing. No. Yeah.
We should probably mention that Mark Hannon did the music for this, and he arranged this.
Mark's a genius. He's like my favorite person. He lives in Nashville, and I call him usually once or twice a week, and we just have the best conversations as I drive to LA. And that's how we develop a lot of the soundtracks. Like, he'll be at his piano, and we'll be saying, oh, let's try this, like Step in Time, because the tempo of the parade is so fast. We came up with that step in time, step in time, step in time. Otherwise, step in time. Was it step in time? It gets too fast. So we had to come up with a way to get the song in and still make it work. So we do a lot of that actually over the phone. We sing back and forth. So it's fun. But his demos are great, and because there was a lot of questions about, you used that song from Hong Kong Disneyland. And actually, there was a song written for the parade called So Soundsational, and it wasn't as good. We actually went out and had 3 songs written for the parade. We chose one, we tested it, and it didn't work. So we were in the middle of working on Hong Kong, and it was such a great song, and Mark wrote it. I'm like, hey, let's try this, and let's use it in Soundsational. And we actually made it faster than the original. So it's really fun.
This is actually the fastest tempo, I think, for any parade we've ever done. I really think it is. And choreographically, kind of a challenge for our choreographers. Josh Horner from Australia, who was a judge on Dancing with the Stars down there, and Tracy Hallis, one of our choreographers here at the park, are brilliant, and so pleased that we had them. But they had their work cut out for them, and I think they did a really, really great job.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see parades move and change, because we always try to re-inspire everybody, especially people that work here. Like Tracy's fantastic. I mean, Tracy's been here a long time. So we brought in Josh, who worked on World of Color with me. If you ever seen the video, he's the crazy Australian dancing around. But he's a delight. And he was in, Billy Elliot. Billy Elliot on Broadway. And he always wanted to be an Imagineer. That was his thing. He goes, I want to work here so bad. And I saw him do they were doing kind of a workshop thing, and he just came in with one of his assistants and did this beautiful ballet to Someday My Prince Will Come. And so I said, this is fantastic. So we ended up working together. He's really, really great. Now, if you're in Australia, he will be in Chorus Line next season.
Well, let's go. Let's get the company jet. Let's go. So, how did you guys get your start here? How did you...
You started first.
That's a long story. No, I started here in 1981. I met a wonderful gentleman named Claire Graham, and Claire was the head of the art department at Disneyland. And I truly was like right out of high school, came in with this cute portfolio and said, oh, I want to work here. And he hired me, and really kind of, it really is the mail-ring story. I was making models for the '84 Olympics and some stuff for Epcot, and we used to tour together. We ended up doing tours. We used to go on these target market tours for a long time. But I always had this passion to create. I kept writing little shows going, we should do this, we should do that. And it took quite a while, actually. It took almost 15 years before I ever got to really do a show. So finally going from model maker to art director to senior art director, I finally became a show director. And so the first thing we did Small World Holiday, which was a fun thing. And it was great because no one was watching us. We just kind of went in and did this thing, and it was an experiment, and then it became this big deal. And from there, I did Believe in Holiday, or Believe, There's Magic in the Stars. And then things really took off because we really kind of reinvented fireworks, and then we did the holiday show, and then we did Haunted Mansion Holiday, and so it just kept going. And it's been a whirlwind thing, and then eventually Ann Hamburger, who took over entertainment, asked me to come work at Imagineering. And then it got really complicated because I started to work around the world, which has been great, but it's very tiring at the same time. We were just in Paris, having a good time in Paris.
Yeah, there's that little show next door. What's it called?
Oh, the water show. That show was terrifying, by the way. Everyone goes, oh, how was that? I go, it was terrifying. Night after night after night, really playing with water to see what water could do, and having a lot of pressure on that show because they basically was the relaunch of that park, and it had to say this is going to be the new California Adventure, and it's actually worked very well. And there's more surprises coming, so make sure you come out this holiday. Kevin, you?
Well, it's funny because I've actually never heard you tell your story, and it's very similar to mine, as you know. Because I started also in the art department with Claire Brown. And Steven, you were like my first supervisor there. Do you remember?
Do you remember? We used to do our roller skates.
Oh, we had so much fun. It was great. Our building is gone. It's now condos. So it is, yeah. But that's okay. You know, things change. But anyway, I also built models for a lot of different shows and things, and then I got to contribute designs to a lot of things, like Party Gras Parade and Lion King Parade. I was trying to get them to clap for all my...
He's fantastic.
And anyway, but at the end of toward the end of the '90s, I ended up transferring up to consumer products, and Jody followed as well, and we both started doing a lot of merchandise and all that kind of stuff, collectibles and things. But here and there, we would come back and visit and do projects. Jody got to design the Pixar Play Parade over at PCA. With Steven, and then and here we are.
Yeah, I drug them back because they had gone so far down a path. I'm like, you're sick of making merchandise. Come back and play. Make something big. Look at it. They were doing these tiny figurines. Every time I'd see them, I go, what are you doing? They're like, we're painting these tiny things. Remember the miniatures?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because when we used to work, designing parades and Fantasmic and all that stuff, it was huge. And then we went directly to doing tiny little, figurines this big.
Thimble people.
Yeah. You know what? The basics of the general rules of design are the same though. Designing three-dimensional things. Except you just don't have Kalish just saying you gotta have handrails and you've gotta have sight lines and all this stuff. It's just a snowflake, It's okay.
I love it. Going from Party Gras to miniatures. That's a huge thing. Steve, we found out the last time we were here that we worked on Party Gras together, and we didn't even know it.
Really? I knew you guys did.
You're all
I could have told you that.
I had no idea.
Not me either.
Well, John directed Party Gras.
It was fun. It was a fun thing. Yeah. Actually, Steven's been kind of a mentor to me lately. With
partners.
Oh my gosh. 50th anniversary Parade of Dreams. We worked on that. And then Steven says, I'm working on this fireworks show. It's called Magical, and you want to help? So I finally got to learn how to do fireworks. He was like the firework king, and it was like, okay, show me everything you know. So then we did Halloween screens, and
It's fun. I mean, it's one of those, because, you know, passing on, like, I guess it is mentoring a little bit, but John is a fantastic director, and to have help has been fantastic, you know, especially when we were in the middle of World of Color. There were so many things that the resort wanted, and so John really was kind of a saving grace for that.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Hey, do you guys have any questions?
No, great fun.
Oh, you must have some questions. We've got a microphone back here by Renee, or I think Renee even has a microphone.
I do. If everybody just wants to line up behind this microphone, we'll be taking questions for a little bit. That far back. This far back. Do you want to, you know, let's bring you guys forward.
Yeah.
We have to see who they are.
Come on down.
Even closer?
You're the next contestant
Even
here at
closer.
Arlander.
Awesome.
Right there.
Hello.
Is this good? I just want to
Yes, great.
Hello.
Hello.
I was going to say from the next contestant, I want to know what I'm in with.
This is Irene.
A snow globe.
I was curious regarding the Halloween Screams fireworks show. I noticed this year when I was at the Halloween party, the fire effect, the real fire, wasn't there. And I was wondering what the decision was behind that.
It's back.
It's back, yeah.
So in other words, I picked the wrong night.
Well, it's been twitchy lately, and so all the fire went offline for a while because they had to go back and reinvent some stuff. So it was back online, then it went off. Yeah, it's been,
And now it's back.
It is back.
Well, thank you, because that was a great effect.
So we apologize for any inconvenience.
Want to be the next entrance? That could be my prize.
Thank you, Irene.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris.
Soundsational, I think, is one of the best parades I've seen at art. So,
Thank you.
my question is, in regards to the parade, are all the floats made from scratch, like from the ground up, or are they recycled?
No, they're all from scratch. This whole parade actually was ground up. We didn't. No, actually, what?
Just the drum. Just little push.
The drive units. The drive units under the big drums. We used an old drive unit from Celebrate, but everything on top of it, we chopped it off and did all brand new stuff.
All the big floats are all entirely new. New float bases, new everything.
Which was just amazing to watch being built. You go to a warehouse and suddenly there's this ginormous thing inside. It's pretty amazing.
I always like it because the producers freak out because when they're in buildings, they look huge, and then when you take them outside and put them outside, they shrink. So they go, oh, it's too big. Everyone's gonna freak out. And I'm like, no, you're fine.
Actually, if I could ask one question about then, with the drums, was having a recycled drive unit, was that influencing the design of those, or was that always a thing?
I don't know. The drive units are pretty well covered under there.
Actually, I think going back to the whole Soundsational theme, we knew we wanted to have something percussive because we had the drummers and we had everything else. And suddenly we realized, oh, these units would make the perfect. They're not really tweeners, but they're units unto themselves. But we wanted to make sure that they look like drums between each of those larger units. So they came in handy.
Yeah, the drums came actually pretty late in the game. We had one design of one parade, and then we came in and looked at it, and we had 5 units in it. And then we actually went back and said, oh, let's tell more stories. So we found the drive unit and said, well, let's put drums in and have it be part of the Mickey thing that ties it all together. And then we added 4 more stories to the parade with full sound systems and everything else. So, because we wanted to tell as much music story as we could. And that's what's great. It's a very changing process. I mean, when you start with, I teach this all the time because so many people I've seen over the years, like they write a script for a show and then they won't change it. And I'm like, you gotta look at it like I'm working on a new show and I'm working with a new composer and his music is spectacular. So we're completely changing the show as he writes. So when he writes, it really helps us reimagine things in a different way. So we just go in and we go, oh, get rid of that, let's put this in, and it just grows. And when they design, it's the same way. It's like, wow, that's cool, let's do this, let's do that. But yeah, you just have to keep it flowing as you go from A to Z.
I mean, you really keep adding ideas to it too. I mean, you don't want to just start out with the original concepts and stay true to those. I mean, halfway down the road, you may come up with another idea, and it can take the parade in a whole other direction, but it's probably better for sure.
Yeah, little details get added right up until the very last possible seconds.
Yeah, they added some, they make some stuff at home and put it on. They're like, oh, can we add this?
Yeah, how many people have noticed the little Evinrude?
Yes!
Yes! How many people know who Evinrude is?
Yes!
Okay, a few. Well, if you look on the Princess and the Frog Tiana float, you'll see a little dragonfly that is buzzing around in the middle of the float, and he's Evinrude from the Rescuers. And it was sort of a little joke that Jody and I talked about pitching to Steven and seeing if he would go for it, because we just thought of, this big swamp unit with the big steamboat, it kind of looked like the Rescuers. We were kind of laughing about that. And then we thought it would be kind of a cool little tribute to Jimmy McDonald, who was the sound effects genius for a lot of Disney films over the years. And since this whole parade is about sound, we thought that would be a great little touch. And it was the last character that Jimmy McDonald had done. So anyway, we built it actually before we asked. That little dragonfly you see was built in our studio. I made him out of wood and cut little plastic wings out of him and everything, and then I took a photo of it and sent it to Japan, where Steven was, and said, "Can we add this?" And he said, "Yeah." He laughed. He thought that was funny. So that was literally like the night before we started filming the TV commercials. Remember? And it was really, really fast. So Evinrude did make it into the commercials, which is nice. He's there, very small. He's there.
Who's next?
Thank you, Chris.
Yay, Chris!
Hi, I'm Dylan. Thanks so much for coming out here, guys.
Oh, you're welcome. It's early.
Quick question. From concept to completion, how do you guys come up with these ideas, and where do they start and where do they finish? Because you talk about the music, and obviously the Soundsational Parade is all about music. Does it start with music and then choreography and then floats, or is it floats, choreography, music? What's the steps to get to the finished product?
It starts with his brain, that guy down there at the other end.
No, actually, in a nutshell, it starts with presenting the idea. So basically, we do a full set of art. This was even before they came on board. We pitched the idea as the music parade walked in. It was a whole different design. We just said it's going to be about music, and they said, great, we love it. From there, we bring, like Marina Rada, who did the costumes, came on board. The guys came on board to design it. John was on board. Mark Hammond was working. Actually, no, Mark came on later.
He was.
Yeah. Originally, I was going to work with Adam Anders, who does the music for Glee, and he became violently ill because he was working so hard on Glee, and he had to back out. But we kept
Tim Davis,
who actually does all the vocals for Glee. He's their big vocal arranger. So we brought Mark in to take Adam's place, and then he worked with Tim, who actually, if you listen to Halloween Screams, Tim is there's only 2 singers on Halloween Screams, and most people don't know that. It's Tim Davis and, Missy. Not Missy Elliott, but Missy. And that's what they're so brilliant at, is that they can actually take 2 singers and make an entire show out of it. So we get the whole team together, and then we do a bunch of design work, and then we go out to bid, which is a really fun process, where your dreams kind of come back and get shattered all at once. And from there, we basically redesign or change, and we finalize the parade, and then we bring on the choreographers. And so they basically start working with the music guys. We record the music, we go into construction on the floats, we then hire the cast, and the cast gets put together. And then we all show up in the middle of the night and send it down the street and see how we did.
We were talking about the music earlier, that we recorded something in Nashville. There were voices in another studio here in LA. We did another at Capitol Records. We did another recording session. So everything is recorded everywhere, and then everything comes together and sounds away.
We went to the guys from Drumline, and they had just finished their national tour, and we said, hey, do you want to come to Disneyland? And they all lived in Atlanta, so they literally all piled in a big car and came out, and they moved to California to actually be in the parade. And they're so fun. I mean, I can't teach that. You cannot teach what they do.
They are so amazing, and we even are creating shows for them, other shows that they can be in the park and working in the park.
Well, what was so cute is that they had never really been to Disneyland before, so they were like, oh, they would show up early, they would rehearse, and they were so fantastic. And you got to see that kid's eye thing again, which is great, because they just are like, oh, this is so much fun, and they love it. They absolutely love working here, which I think is fun.
Next question, please.
Hi, my name is Emmanuel, and first off, I'm Steve. I'm a big fan of all your shows, like Soundsational, World Color, Chicken True. This question actually popped in my head last night when I was sleeping. Basically, when you do rehearsals, program shows, how many changes do you think you go through with each show? Like, how can you have to change them during programming sessions? Like World Color, for example.
A lot. Well, my big thing is, and it's something that I preach to everybody that works for me, is that the shows really are never finished. It's like a Cirque du Soleil thing. Their shows are never finished either. That even on World of Color, if we go back to reprogram something new, we go back and change other things too. It's the more technology we get, the new stuff we're adding, we keep adding it to the full show. So they're never really finished, but it's a layering process almost in every show. That, like, if we're doing a spectacle, you start here, we'll pretty much put the whole show together, and then as we learn stuff, we go back and we do it again. Usually you get all the way done and it's really great at the end, and then you got to go back to the beginning and do it again. You always do this in vocal sessions, because when the singers start, they suck, but you don't tell them that. And so you're like, I mean, not to be honest, I mean, they are fantastic singers, but you develop the sound as you go along. So when you get to the end and they're really warmed up and they know the sound, you go back and re-record the front end so it all matches. It's really kind of a, Bruce Healy, who was the music producer, taught me that. Brilliant man who wrote Fantastic, I mean, absolute genius. And in the studio, he's remarkable. Just really, really remarkable. So a lot of changes. I mean, honestly, again, it's all malleable as you go along.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi, I'm Devin, and so I love the outfits and the costumes in Soundsational. Each one seems more outrageous than the last, so I'm just curious, what is each of your favorite of all the outfits?
Oh, most outright. Well, we were just talking about it. There's a performer in the parade in the Aladdin unit, the coin girl, the gold. We call her the coin girl because at one point, again, sound, we were going to put coins all over her so that she would rattle coming down the street. No, please stop the rattling. But the shine of the costume and how cool that was. I love that costume. I think that's a fun costume. Oh, it's the water dancers too. The ones with the big headdresses, the red headdresses. Morena Rada is just, we keep using that word genius, but boy, I love working with her. She can make costumes that dancers can dance in, which is way cool. And all of those, the wonderful water, the shells, there's just so many in. I love the stilts too. Actually, I love everything. I think
I like the monkeys. The monkeys are my favorite. Yeah. Again, you get really great designers, and we always sketch weird people in our presentation art, and she always looks at it going, what's that? I go, oh, it's like a monkey. And she goes back with amazing, amazing designs. I know. It's like, what's that? It's a monkey.
Do you guys have favorite costumes that go with your float?
I really like the Tiana dancers, actually. I love, they look classic, but just the colorway she used on those are a little unusual, but really big pop.
I agree. They're really cool.
I agree with that too. I have to say though, I like the chimney sweeps because it's the only costume I've got to wear.
Oh, tell the story.
Okay. The parade opened on my birthday, May 27th this year, and it was real. We were very excited. All my family had driven out from other states. I had, tons of people in town to see that we were all going to celebrate and watch the parade. And I wake up and I have a text on my phone from Steven saying, "Happy birthday. Come to Disneyland a few hours early. We're putting you in costume and putting you on a flip."
Boy, yeah, that was a lot of.
It was great.
A lot of hoops to jump through for that, but yeah, he deserved it. They really, really deserved it at the end of the day. What's your favorite costume?
I love the pinata girls.
Oh, of course. Can't really get it. Someday we'll share the actual design, the sketch of it. They were like wild with the sketch. Like, oh, can we actually make these?
They were almost naughty. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, my name's Patrick. Since music is the major focus for this parade, will we be seeing a legal way of obtaining the soundtrack anytime soon?
I don't know where that is actually. I don't know what they're doing. We'll ask actually. I have no idea. That's a whole merchandise thing, and if they decide to do it, they do it. They don't. But if this was
Sensational merchandise. That's what I.
you should write letters. Write letters. Write letters. Actually, write letters for merchandise. Okay. Thank you. It's gonna be on the internet now.
Here's the phone number.
I get that a lot. I mean, people go, "Well, why is a roll of color on a soundtrack, and why isn't this on a thing?" And we truthfully have nothing to do with that. We give them all the stuff and go, if they want to do the mechanicals to make it happen, they will. So let's keep our fingers crossed.
Hi, my name is Joe. I had a quick question for you guys. Now that you guys have finished Soundsational, or at least gotten into the state it is now, what's next for each of you guys?
I actually, once Soundsational opened, it became really, in the middle of Soundsational, I directed the groundbreaking ceremony for Shanghai, the Disney and it was, for me, it was one of the coolest experiences, because I've done a lot of press events and things, but for that groundbreaking, here I am standing in this flat area in Shanghai, knowing that there's going to be this amazing park that's going to happen there, and watching the executives and everyone, shoveling and doing the whole thing. It was just very cool. It was just really cool. My offices are here, so I get a lot of different things. I directed the Chalk Walk yesterday. There's just so many things. I direct Candlelight every year, and that's one of my favorite events that I do during the year. And Steven and I are talking about some other stuff that we might be working on. That's it.
Are we allowed to ask?
Well, we're actually working on a pretty fun project. It's actually kind of a little bit bigger than Soundsational with Steven, so coming soon.
Is that all you can say? Okay. We're working with Steven on designing a new parade for Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah, so I always use the people I love because they're fantastic. We're working on Tokyo's 30th, so it's a new parade right now entitled Happiness. So we're bringing happiness. It's actually really cool. It's a really beautiful parade. A lot of new stuff, a lot of new looks, and it's going to be really fun. I just heard this Mark's doing the score. I heard the theme song for it yesterday called Happiness Is, and it's great. I'm doing a show in Paris for the 20th. I can't say anything more than that because it'll be announced in a month or so. I'm doing some work for Walt Disney World, which I can't talk about, which will come online in a couple of years. Everyone will be happy with that. Trust me, when we finally announce what we're doing at Disney World. And a lot of other stuff. So we stay busy.
Thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you all very much for all of your questions. Another round of applause for our geniuses. I think you guys are done. You guys, congratulations, you're done.
Actually, I have one other thing. While we've been chatting, they pulled out some of our float units out on Main Street. There are 5 of the units are out there. The characters are there. The performers or dancers are out there. And it's just a chance to kind of get an up-close personal look at what these guys have done.
And we're all going out there.
Yeah, we're going to come out. We'll come out and we'll see you all. So thank you for coming. This was great.